Dr. Cinema here for a mini movie review. Ah, apple juice. So, I've talked about Stephen King a lot on this channel, and I have talked about the different versions of Pennywise the Dancing Clown from Stephen King's It, even comparing the two together. And while I've definitely talked about Pennywise and Tim Curry and Bill Skarsgård, I surprisingly haven't really talked about the movie It, the cinematic movie It. So I figured now would be a good time as any to give my mini review of it. So, right away, I think arguably one of the best decisions about this adaptation is that they're splitting it into two movies. Chapter 1, which is focusing on the Losers Club as kids, and then Chapter 2 will be as they are adults coming back to defeat Pennywise for good. I mean, it's a long ass book. I mean, over 1,000 pages. It makes sense to divide into two eras, especially since half the book takes place in the 1950s and the other half takes place in the 1980s. Which reminds me, I also think it's a good idea that they change the time periods to 1980s and modern day 2010s. And let's talk about the characters a bit. I've already talked about Pennywise, so you can look for my videos on Pennywise. But I want to talk about the human characters. There is some good character development, some surprisingly good character development, especially for a horror film, which is really great. I mean, you've got Stuttering Bill, you've got Richie, you have Ben, you have Eddie, and you have Beverly. Those five got some really good character development. Of course, there are the other two, Stan and Stan. The other kid. Hold on, gotta look this up. Mike. Mike. Sorry, I forgot one of the names for the Losers Club, but that's surprisingly one of the weaknesses of this film. I mean, those five kids I mentioned, they got good focus, good character development. But Stan and Mike don't really get nearly as enough attention. Like, I actually forget they're in the movie until they show back up again after their introduction scene. But considering how many main characters are in this movie, and especially considering the fact that they have to survive through the movie, it kind of makes sense that there'll be a couple of characters that don't get nearly as enough attention. So it is a little bit of weakness, but it's not the worst thing that could have happened. And of course, let's take a look at the secondary antagonist of the film. Ah, the bully. Honestly, I forgot the bully's name, but I remember him. Usually, Stephen King bullies are very one dimensional, especially when it came to the 1990 TV miniseries of it. However, in this movie, it's actually kind of impressive. I mean, the lead bully is definitely more psychotic than the other guys, and even the other bullies in his group sometimes point out, this might be taking it a little too far, man. I thought that was really interesting. Ah. And of course, we have to talk about the scares of the film. There, I can see how some people will be kind of freaked out or grossed out by it, but they kind of remind me of the Sam Raimi Evil Dead movies. I mean, in the best way. I mean, it's can be a little over the top, but that's the whole fun of it. And like I said, I can see how some people would think that these effects and scares are actually legitimately scary. And there are a couple that actually kind of got to me too. I'm not going to say them in this review, but yeah, there are definitely a couple of them where they're especially well done. Of course, the CGI can get a little distracting. I think you'll know when you see it. but it's honestly not that distracting. Um, and I kind of like how the movie ended. I thought that was a really good ending. Honestly, I really liked Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. I've already talked about him in another video, so check that out. But I won't bring up again that he was legitimately kind of creepy and actually very intriguing, especially for a major Stephen King fan myself. But that's for a whole other different discussion. At the end of the day, this is actually a really good film, and I do recommend it as a legitimately scary movie. Of course, it has its flaws. Not all the characters get as much development. The soundtrack can get a little distracting and over the top, but honestly, they're flaws that can't be overlooked. I mean, it's a fun movie to watch. So yeah, go ahead, check it out. Part one, part two will come out in 2019 in theaters. So get ready for then. Meantime, Doctor Cinema